Hey, it's Jessica here, and you're listening to the 504 Rebirth podcast, the show that will teach you how to go from surviving to thriving after a cancer diagnosis. What does your birthday mean to you? Are you excited? Scared? Apprehensive? On today's episode, I'll discuss how my birthday led to the birth of this podcast and how you too can change your birthday to a rebirth every year to inspire hope and resilience for your future. Hey guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. In fact, it's the way I made mine, sitting in the parking lot waiting to pick up my niece from school. It has all the tools you need in one place, and you can record it right from your phone or computer. When hosting through Anchor, your podcast can be played across Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more platforms. It's everything you need in one single place, and it's free. That's free, guys. So download the Anchor app today. Go to anchor.fm to get started. That is anchor.fm to get started. I recently spent a week in the hospital following complications from my immunotherapy treatment with Keytruda. While in there, I had this nurse who was taking care of me, and she had a similar story to mine, except she had been diagnosed with cervical cancer in her early 20s. And this nurse was now 40 years old, the same age as me, and taking care of me. So we exchanged stories over a lot of laughter, and there were tears as well. Yes, I know, you guys, you don't think there's any funny moments, but there are some very funny moments with cervical cancer, and I've had several throughout my journey so far. Maybe I'll share some of those with you guys sometime. But after meeting her, I had my first glimpse of hope that I too could not only survive, but actually thrive with a terminal diagnosis. So following our meeting that I had with her, which was only one day of caretaking, and all the other days in the hospital, I had other nurses. But after this, I was so inspired that I was just ready to take on life. And I was sent home on prednisone, which is a very strong steroid. I'm sure most of you guys, if you're listening and you do have cancer, you've been on this steroid at some point. But this was prescribed to me to counteract the negative side effects that I was having from the immunotherapy with my heart and kidneys. And I was to take this over the next 4 to 5 weeks after I left the hospital as I tapered off of it. And for those of you that, like I said, have taken this medicine, you know the side effects of it as well. So you are running around like a squirrel with your head cut off. That was me, okay? I think I annoyed the crap out of most people that were around me, especially my sister. But you know how energetic and crazy it makes you, okay? So I would sleep 2 to 3 hours max each night, and I would wake up ready to go every single morning around about 3 a.m. And of course, around 3 a.m., I was inspired. I was inspired to write and do all of these creative things. And so that's what I did at 3 a.m. because I didn't want to disturb anyone else in the house. But over the next few days following release from the hospital, I was inspired to start sharing my story after meeting this nurse. And I wanted to share it so I could bring hope to others around me. And during one of my early risings, I was trying to come up with the title of my podcast because I had decided at this point, okay, I want to do it in a podcast form to get my message out to people, to inspire others. And so what should my title be? And I remembered how over the past year or more since my diagnosis in January 2021, the numbers 504 kept coming up, specifically on my watch, or a clock if I looked at it. So every day that I would look at my watch, like I said, or the clock, it didn't matter whether it was morning or night, it would be 5:04 p.m. And I saw these numbers other places too, specifically the 504 in that order, but on my clock or watch, it was very consistent. And so I wasn't sure what all of this meant, but I knew that somehow it was connected to my birthday, which is actually today, May 4th, or 504. So I knew that this would definitely be in my title because, like I said, it had been coming up for over a year at this point. So over the next few days, through a hike with my best friend Cassandra to the gorge, and some tears and little sleep due to the prednisone that I was on, 504 Rebirth was born. That's my podcast that you are now listening to. And I now know when I see these numbers that it's my guardian angel looking over me. And since having this revelation, I've seen the numbers 504 several times when I'm making decisions, and it instantly puts me at peace with my choice. Following the birth of 504 Rebirth and my stay in the hospital for a week, I started reconnecting with several people that I lost touch with over the years when I was just busy with work. And one person in particular, she was my old college classmate, Becca Pike, who is the owner and founder at Massage Strong in Lexington, Kentucky, and Hell Yes Coaching. She's an amazing, amazing woman, by the way. And we met for breakfast one morning, and I shared my story with her. And at the time, I was completely out of ideas for treatments, and immunotherapy or Keytruda was my only option left. And remind you, I had just spent a week in the hospital due to the effects of this treatment. So really, at this point, I was just completely out of options. And Becca immediately connected me with her friend, Matt Dawson, the CEO of Wild Health in Lexington, who then connected me with Dr. Jeremy Stitch, who is the co-founder of Wild Health. And over the next week or so, Dr. Stitch and we connected, and I received my first complimentary treatment to the chemo, radiation, and immunotherapy that I had already received. And this treatment is known as molecular resonance treatment. And there are studies that are currently being conducted on veterans with PTSD and patients with various lung issues. And forgive me, Dr. Stitch, if I get some of this information wrong. But guys, I will give you his contact information so you can email him and reach out if you're interested in this treatment. So the treatment lasted about 2 hours, and it utilized an electrical current along with some manual stimulation of various trigger points on my upper, lower back, neck, and my forehead. And guys, I just want to tell you just briefly, when I first started the treatment, he told me, okay, put your feet on this. It was a board about 3 by 3, and I was holding this bulb that looked like some funky science fiction glass bulb. I have no idea what words to use to really describe it. But I held that, and my feet were on this board, and that completed the electrical circuit for the electrical current to run through my body. And so when I first put my feet down on this board, it was insane when I felt that current go through me. And when I say current, I'm not talking like you're being shocked, like you've got your finger in an electrical socket. That's not how it was. But this current came through my body, and it went through me in this circular motion. I could feel it completely coursing through everything, and I burst into tears. I felt like completely alive for the first time in my life since I was a child. And I shared these things with Dr. Stitch, and he said, yes, these are some similar experiences and things that happen to patients when they sit down on this board and do this treatment. And lastly, I'm not going to share all the details in between over the 2 hours, but the last thing that he did he sat next to me and he held the bulb, and I had my feet on the board, and he connected into me by touching my forehead, and, or as some of you all know it, the third eye. And when he did that, my head jolted back, and I did. Now this was a lot more intense. When I say I felt shocked, it felt like a shock was going through me, and it was just my neck jolting back, and all of this current running from through my forehead all the way down and out my feet and coming back up in a circular motion. And it was like light, life, and energy were completely coursing through me, and way more intense than when I was just holding the bulb. And of course, this was progressive, the treatment was, so that's why I held it first. It wasn't as strong feeling, but then when he touched my forehead, it was just epic. I have no idea what words to use to even describe it, but it was ridiculous. And so the science behind all of this is that we have a charge of approximately 0.025 millivolts across our cell membranes, which helps keep our pH around the 7.8. And this charge is increased by emotional, physical, and spiritual trauma. And the molecular resonance treatment helps to reset our voltage, which then allows our bodies to heal. So since my treatment, I've continued to regain my energy, and of course my latest scan showed all the cancer is shrinking or stable in my body. And in fact, I went out a few days ago and I jogged, not super far, but it was about 300 meters at a time, and did some exercises in between, and did that for a total of about 1 mile. So I am starting to improve and change and continue to heal, and I'm super excited. So if you're interested in learning more about this treatment from Dr. Stitch, you can reach him at jeremy.stitch. That's Jeremy, JEREMY.stitch. That's STICH @gmail.com. And of course, let him know that you heard about his molecular resonance treatment through me, of course. And so lastly here, I want to share with you guys, I was sharing this podcast or just kind of hashing it out with my mom today, or actually prior to this being released today. And my mom, she's very wise, of course, and she's creative. And she had a simple yet profound statement that I think ties everything together nicely, what I have already talked about. And that simple statement was, connection brings direction. That's connection brings direction. How many times have you cut off from others in your life when you are going through a struggle? I know I've done it myself. In fact, my friend Cassandra can always tell when I'm going through my biggest struggles, because she'll say, Jessica, you're very distant and you're starting to isolate yourself. And so, yes, that is true. When people are suffering, they tend to isolate more. And these are the times when you should instead connect with others more to open your mind to new possibilities. I know that through connecting or reconnecting with old friends, it has opened me to new treatment opportunities when I thought I was at my road's end. And another great example that I want to share with you here at the end is how I've been connected in through the Gilda's Club Kentuckiana, which is an affiliate of the Cancer Support Community. And I have been connected into all of their support groups there. They have several that you can choose from if you are a cancer patient or survivor. So I want to encourage anyone who is currently going through treatments, or you're a survivor, like I said, to connect with the Gilda's Club. And even though it is in Louisville, Kentucky, they are doing virtual meetings for most of their meetings as well. And so you can connect in virtually. And that's how I've been connecting in. And through connecting, I'm finding attainable goals rather than focusing on all the things I've lost, like not being able to go out and run a race. And so the treatments and connections that I'm having are gradually expanding my opportunities for the apparent unreachables in my life. And my latest therapy group, which is art therapy, I used to love art as a child and doing creative things. And of course, with work and adulthood and raising children, I lost some of that over the years. And so I decided, I'm going to try to sign up for an art therapy class and see if I can just spark this artsy side of myself again. And so art therapy group this week inspired me to actually write a brief poem that is titled My Perfect Day. And I want to share this with you in hopes that you will write your own story or poem of what your perfect day would look like. And of course, if you do write one, I would love for you to share it with me in the comments section, or just shoot me an email at 504rebirth.com and share it with me. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you with my poem here, My Perfect Day. Coffee, cuddles, sunshine, waves. This would be my perfect day. Hiking, chatting, pie, and play. This would be my perfect day. Rocks, trees, laughter, family. This would be my perfect day. Flowers, dancing, wine, chocolate. This would be my perfect day. Happy birthday to me. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in today and listening to my 504 Rebirth podcast. And I want to ask you, please provide feedback, comments on today's episode, as well as any future topics. And like I said, please feel free to share your poem or story with me on what your perfect day looks like. If you're interested in my coaching services, please go to my Facebook page, 504 Rebirth, and schedule your free consultation today. And a huge thanks to all my listeners again for all your continued support and all your prayers. I appreciate all you guys just being there for me when I need you most. Not every day is easy for me, but I continue to push through and look for those little shining silver linings. If you find value in my podcast, I want to ask you to please click on the donation button to help support the creation of future episodes, because it does take time and energy to create these, and I want to be able to continue to share this information and hopefully inspire you on your journey. So with that being said, may you fucking be free.